Okay, whatever. I'm gonna do a follow-up to that one video about why I don't really care about the fighting game community, why I became so emo, bitter, have such a huge chip on my shoulder, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I know some people tell me or ask about other stories. So I'll tell a few other stories about my experience when I was in the community for. God, I don't even want to say that because it sounds so fucking weird, right? When I associated with some people in the community, I was entering tournaments, whatever. And I know some people were saying after I made that first video too, some people were like trying to think I was like talking shit about Kenji for some reason. And I mean, I think I've said it before. Kenji's one of the most important people I ever met in my life. You know, for a couple of years we talked quite a bit, so there isn't like, I mean, even if we're not like friends anymore, it is what it is. Like I said, I just said he's one of the most important people I ever met in my life at one time. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, even if we're not friends, you know, I didn't make those stories or tell what happened to talk shit about him per se. It was just a story, you know. So there's that story, whatever, long story short, was people were talking shit about Tom. Tom was a guy that was helping out the community, and I know he had always done me right the little bit that I met him, and I defended him, and people got mad about that. And then it actually came out years later. People admitted to me at dinner that people were actually stealing from him, and they, you know, no one wanted to admit it until it was just easier for me to take the blame, basically, right? To make it look like I was like some asshole that would, you know, do something, you know, to make someone look bad when I was really, you know, people in Kenji's group were actually stealing people from people that were cool to other people, and it was just, you know, whatever. Go watch the video if you actually care, right? So you know what I mean. So that was one story, but let's talk about other stories about why I think, you know, the video game community sucks. Another like why maybe I got a bad rap for things that didn't happen, and yeah. So I'll tell another story. Here's another story that happened to me. And again, I was really naive when I got into games. You know, again, my foreword is when I got into games, I didn't know I could enter tournaments. I just randomly entered and started winning tournaments. I was like, oh, I guess I can win tournaments. I guess I can make money. It was never one of those things. I want to play Street Fighter all day long. You know what I mean? Just I got lucky raw skill wise. I could make some money, I guess, and win tournaments. Anyway, so here's a story that I got some hate on for something that didn't happen. There was this big tournament I went to, one of the very first big tournaments I went to, right? And during casual or whatever, I was like beating the Japanese. I was beating, and specifically how the story will go is I was beating, I beat how do you say his name? And I beat Mike Watson in casual too. Then I was beating the Japanese, and eventually some California dude beat me, right? In casuals before the tournament, right? And I remember, again, I'm pretty naive towards games, right? And so, and I do search my name sometimes, right? So, I remember when I went to like Sharukan after that, right? You know, before the tournament started, right? You know, because I was like, man, I'm doing pretty good during casual again. Like, people got to remember that I was entering tournaments and winning tournaments before I could even drive, right? Like, I'm old now, and I probably look younger than I am now, and I looked older than I was when I was a kid, right? Like, I was winning tournaments before I could even drive, right? But so I remember I went on the internet, right, and I searched my name, and I saw some people were cool, but then I actually saw some people were saying like, "Oh, Final Showdown, he's so fucking cocky. He's always talking shit. He was bragging to everybody how he's beating all the Japanese during casual, and he's beating all. He beat Mike Watson and Bai and everybody." And I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going on?" Right? Like here I am, a kid. I was like, so like, I mean, people got to remember too, like. And you know, I've talked. I don't even know if Mike knows this, right? Because I've talked to him a few times throughout the years. I mean, we just not too long ago on Twitter, we were like kind of joking, like a quick conversation, you know. The second that me and him never got to finish. At one Evo, there was a side tournament for Alpha, and it was me and him in the finals, and someone pulled the fire alarm before we got to finish the finals of the side tournament, right? You know what I mean? And I've always said this many times before. When I was a kid growing up, there were people like Mike Watson and everything like this in Game Pro. And I remember being however fucking old I was, right? So young I couldn't even pop a boner yet. You know what I mean? And I remember reading about these guys like Mike Watson and everybody. And, you know, I even Jason, you know, APOC knows this and everything. Like, right? I remember when I first met these dudes as a kid, I thought I had to pay to play them. I thought they would never play some random kid like me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know. I was like so fucking naive about how tournaments and video games even worked, right? And I remember reading about guys like Mike Watson and everything, and anyway, so this tournament, you know, just before in casuals, you know, I beat him, and then I read, and to then to read on the internet that someone, more than one person, I guess, they were going on the internet trying to make it seem like I would actually talk shit about beating Mike Watson in casual and like beating these other people. It was just, it put me in such a bad mood, right? That some like people are going on the internet trying to make me look like a shit talker about one dude specifically that I look up to. You know what I mean? That, like I said, before I could even pop a boner, dude, I was like reading about guys like Mike Watson, you know what I mean, in tournaments. And the only thing I could think was like maybe someone saw me beat him, and like maybe a guy was like, "Wait, did you just beat Mike or something? How are you?" Is it maybe it was just like, "Oh yeah, I just won" or something, right? It wasn't even like a big deal, right? I mean, maybe a big deal to me that like I'm doing good in casual, right? But and like I said, I would never talk shit about. I don't even know if Mike ever saw it, right? You know, it's just never something I even brought up to him. You know what I mean? But I know anytime we've ever talked, I've always tried to like, you know, I've always said how awesome I think he is, how much I like read about him growing up, and he even offered me before years ago to buy me a new controller because I'm such like poverty level playing on these duct taped up things half the time, right? Um, which I didn't take him up on his offer because he doesn't know me anything. But I mean, that was nice of him. And again, I don't even know if he ever read that, but I remember I read that on Shuriken, and I was like, oh my god, it put me in such like a shitty mood that people are trying to go make me go around look like a shit talker that they would ever think I would ever shit talk, you know, him specifically even, right? So whatever. I remember I was getting hate about that for a while because some people were trying to say, you know, I'm a shit talker, talking about how I'm beating all these people in casual all the time before the tournament, and oh boy, that totally ruined that week. That totally ruined that weekend, right? You know what I mean? So there's something the community was on me for a bit. They tried to make up some bullshit like that. Again, I never even asked Mike if he ever saw that, but me and him aren't like good friends or anything, but we've just talked a few times. But that's something I've actually thought about throughout the years. Here's another story about some hate that I got for some things that didn't actually happen in the community before. So for one big tournament, there was supposed to be this like Team East Coast versus Team West Coast. You know, they do these whatever things, right? And they had made me the captain of the Team East Coast, right? And I've always said this before. I'm Team Clayton, dude. I'm Team Clayton. I'm not. I don't want to be Team East Coast, Team Midwest. You know what I mean? I'm Team Clayton. I'm doing my own thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not someone. I don't really have a big clique that I play with. You know what I mean? Um. So losing my train of thought. So okay, let's try this again. You know, one thing I think people don't get when you get sick, um, like my brain just doesn't fucking work half the time anymore. Like I get mind blanks all the time. Anyway, totally forgot what the fuck I was talking about. Anyway, dude, so there's this big tournament, right? And they're doing this Team East Coast versus Team West Coast thing, right? And they wanted to make me like the leader of Team East Coast, right? Because I've been winning the most tournaments in like the Midwest East Coast at the time. And I've always said this, I didn't want to be the leader because I'm Team Clayton, right? Like I don't have a big clique of anybody that I play with. I generally just play by myself, right? But anyway, so this big tournament is happening, right? And we don't have like a, I'll try to make this as quick as possible, but I'll give like the basic gist of what happened, right? We didn't have a final member of the team. There's supposed to be 5 of us, right? And for the 5th spot, there was a few people. I don't remember exactly how many. I would have to go read an old fucking journal that I made maybe about it or something. But there's only a few people that were in contention that could actually go to the tournament. And no one could actually really vote give a good reason like who they wanted, and some of the reasons were complete bullshit. Like people were saying they wanted Roger, which I don't know if there's any chance of Roger is even watching this. I don't know where you are, Roger, but I hope you're okay. I don't know if anyone remembers Roger, but a lot of people took advantage of Roger because Roger was a rich guy and a rich kid. And I know I keep trying to find where that dude is, but his family like basically has disowned him. And I think the last I heard about him was a few years ago. An old girlfriend told me to forget about him and that he's a piece of shit, right? But I don't know where he is. But Roger, I still wonder where you are, dude. And I hope you're okay. But anyway, but and Roger was so what I'm getting at is even some people were saying that Roger should be on the team because Roger had basically paid, holy crap, like he paid like almost everyone's flight there, I think, to California and everyone's hotel room except for me. And I didn't want my stuff paid for because that's not me. Like, you know, I was like, dude, you don't, you're, just because you're rich doesn't mean you should fucking pay for my plane ticket and hotel room, right? But, you know, so some people, but that's, you know, some people, again, people don't realize that video games tournaments are not always 100% fucking fair, right? I don't know how it is nowadays, but there was like backstage politics. People were saying Roger should be on the team just because he paid, and people were trying to vote for him. And I'm like, dude, that's not gonna fly. Especially not if I'm the supposed fucking captain of this fucking team. He is not getting voted on the team just because he's rich and he paid for everyone's stuff, right? That's bullshit. Which I actually do think Roger is good enough to be on the team, but he should have had to like, you know, shouldn't be like an automatic thing like that, right? And oh boy, I could tell you some stories about stuff like he actually quit games after that tournament because people were just abusing him for his money so much. I remember I came to him one time and dude, he was crying that weekend in the back, dude. Like, I mean, it was just bad, dude. I'm like, dude, you gotta fucking stop paying for everybody's shit, dude. Like, I can only do so much, dude. Like, don't stop, dude. But and he quit after that. But man, I just went off on a tangent, right? Anyway, so there's like a handful of people, right, that were up for it, and no one could give a good reason. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I guess as the leader, I'm like, you know what? Let's just pick the last few people that we got in here, have them do a round robin tournament. Whoever wins gets the fifth spot. Let's do this right now, right? And so that's what was agreed on, right? Now what happened was basically, and I guess I don't know if I should choose everyone's name. Basically, a guy named Josh with his mom and his dad came to the room that we were doing this final little vote tournament thing, round robin thing, with tears in his eyes, with his parents. And he's like, wait, you guys are doing like a last spot? Like, I want to be able to enter the tournament too. All of a sudden, I don't remember if it was fucking Kenji or who the fuck it was, but they were like, oh yeah, dude, Josh should totally be in the tournament. And I turn around and I'm like, motherfucker, what? Josh has not been in contention this whole time, dude. He was voted not in this way before. And I'm like, dude, like I feel like it was probably Kenji, right? Because Kenji's always trying to be nice and toothfaced to everybody, right? Like, yeah, I'm not trying to, I know it always seems like I'm making talking shit about Kenji, but like I said, that's not my intention. But anyway, I like turn around and I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? That's not what it's supposed to be. And then everybody's like, well, yeah, I think it should be in it because I see Josh is fucking like crying there with tears in his eyes, fucking red faced with his parents. And I'm like, motherfucker. And I'm like, dude, if you guys are letting Josh in this, everyone in this fucking room is getting like in this tournament right now. And they're like, okay, Clayton, but you're running it. And I'm like, fine, I'm gonna fucking run this thing because I'm not a little bitch and I'm gonna like, I can actually like stand by what I said, right? So anyway, oh god, this was fucking terrible, right? Because this went from only a few people to I think I don't remember how many fucking people we had. Like it was around went from like a round robin of maybe 4 or 5 people to like a round robin of like 12 people, which takes like a lot longer, obviously, right? And so basically they're off all going having fun, you know what I mean, later on. Well, I gotta run this bullshit tournament. And then I think at some point, you know what I mean, where God, it was just fucking like we almost got to the end, like there's only like a few more matches left. Then like other people had heard that I'm running this tournament, right? And like, you know, other like kind of like, you know, kind of like top players, you know what I mean, that weren't in it before. They come up to me like, hey Clay, like, why was I invited to this thing? And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you right now, This is not how the fuck it was supposed to be. It was only supposed to be these people. I tried to find, well, it's like, well, they're like, well, I want to be in it. Like, this is not fair. And I'm like, dude, we're like, there's only like 2 or 3 matches left, dude. I'm like, there's no time. Like, we're supposed to do this East Coast, West Coast thing, like right now. There's no time for you to do all your matches if you're in it. And so then they tried to make me like the bad guy, like I'm playing favorites, like I don't want them in the tournament. Like, so anyway, long story short, I got a bad rap for that. I didn't even get to play before the fucking tournament, right? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm doing this fucking bullshit because people didn't want to stand up for themselves. And then I get made look like the bad guy, right? It was so fucking ridiculous. But, and the funny thing is, too, and I don't know if he's watching this, but I guess I'm gonna fucking aware him on what happened, right? I remember that Josh actually, he messaged me so many years after this fact, after I had stopped any tournaments. He's like, I just want to tell you, I forgive you for what you did to me at that tournament. And you know, I saw that and I left him on red, bro. I don't even know if it said red back then because it was so fucking long ago this happened, right? I was like, I'm not even gonna respond to this motherfucker because this is so ridiculous. Like, because this dude doesn't even fucking get that he was like a fucking joke among like people in the group, right? Like people used to joke about this dude so bad, dude, all the time, right? Like, I mean, I don't want to say the jokes they said about him in case he does watch this because whatever. But just know, dude, people didn't want you in the tournament. They only let you in because you were fucking crying. And I was the only person that was going to stand up to what was said. It wasn't me keeping you out of the tournament. It wasn't anything like that, bro. So if you think that I ruined your fucking video game life or some bullshit, you fucking ruined my weekend with that bullshit, right? Because I got stuck doing that fucking shit. And then other people started hating me because they thought I didn't want them in the tournament or something. You guys were never in the fucking tournament, dude. Like, it was just so ridiculous. And even worse is like that fucking dude doesn't even realize that people used to bag on him and all the time. I remember about the worst thing I said about him is I think I said, and it's not even that, it was like truth. I was like, dude, I think the only time he got brought up once before that rank, they're like, should he be in the contention? And I basically said, I'm like, dude, last tournament I double perfected Josh. Anybody that I'm double perfecting in tournaments shouldn't be in fucking contention. I think I said right. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And we moved on. That was it. So, you know, what do you want me to say? Also at that tournament, I can say another thing that I got shit about, which again, I love how these people admit these things years later. You guys got to remember how long ago this kind of bullshit was. This is before, like, you know, people are so, which they should be. They're so, you know, we want to play on non-laggy TVs, etc. Right? Do you know for this big tournament, they were having me randomly plan my matches on a fucking movie theater projection screen on a wall. Not a fucking joke. At a huge fucking tournament, they were having me play random matches on a fucking movie theater screen projection. And I'm like, dude, this is bullshit. I don't want to play on this. This is lagging. Don't even try. I'm like, they're like, stop making up excuses. This is not going to lag. And it was either be disqualified or play on it. Can you imagine? Like, I know I've actually talked about, I don't know if Mike watches my YouTube. We've talked about it. So many things that fucking have happened, like back in the day in video games, just would never happen nowadays. You know, with the streams. Like, can you imagine me playing on a movie theater's projection against the wall and then telling me it's not going to lag? Do you know what I mean? Like, with stream, can you imagine me as a kid going to all these tournaments, losing my hair after getting my thyroid nuked? You know what I mean? Like sick as shit. Can you imagine people talking shit about me? You know what I mean? Like making fun of me while I'm sick on disability. You know what I mean? Nowadays where things are, it just would never fucking happen. But anyway, and of course, you know, years later they admit it's like, okay, it was lagging claim, but you had to realize that the other person was going to play on it too. So you guys were both being lagged. And it was like, dude, you guys are fucking making me seem like a complainer. All these posts like, oh, Final Showdown, he complains about everything. He thinks that the movie theater screen is going to lag. Can you imagine if that happened nowadays? It would just never fucking happen because it's so fucking obvious, right? But this is video games years and years ago, right? This is the kind of bullshit he had to like deal with. But that's true, right? Because I was a well-known player, and you know what? They did it on purpose, dude. I don't believe for a second that they didn't want me to purposely play on stuff that was lagging when everyone knows how fucking the level of advanced stuff that I was doing compared to everyone else. You know, I totally believe they did that on purpose. But anyway, that happened. Okay, what's the next story? This story might actually be a little bit bad on me, but this I'll end with a kind of funny story, right? So here's a story that I got shit about, right? Maybe justifiably so. Justifiably so. Justifiably so. Justifiably so. My English is terrible. So there's this big tournament, right? And during casuals, like Ricky and Ari came in, right? And you know they're way more famous players than I ever am, right? And but they were too good to play anybody in casual, right? Like, I don't know why fucking Ari doesn't like me. Maybe he doesn't like me because I beat him in every tournament I played him in. I don't fucking know, right? He's more famous than me and he's rich. Like, who cares, right? You beat me at life, right? I beat you at tournaments when we versed each other. Who cares, right? But anyway, so I remember he came into our room at this big tournament and he was too good to play anybody in casual, right? Not that I was playing casual because I don't play a lot of casual, but Kenji was playing a lot of casual, but he was like too good to play Kenji, Ricky, and them, I guess, right? They just wanted to watch, right? So anyway, tournament comes around, right? And I didn't see it, right? Because I'm off doing my own thing. But some friends come up to me and they're like, oh man, Clayton. They're like, dude, Kenji just fucked Ricky, man. He fucked him, right? He beat him so bad. And I was like, because you know sometimes people make a joke that they think I'm gay, right? So I was making a joke. I'm like, hey, dude, I'd fuck Ricky too, dude. I'd fuck him too, sexually, right? And I just said it as like a joke, right? And I didn't realize Ricky was standing right next to me, right? And I turned around and oh my god, everyone was like, dude, crickets chirp, right? And I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. And he probably felt shitty, right? Because Kenny just beat him. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean it like that. People make jokes that I'm gay, so I made a joke. And like I said, I'm a very fucking blunt person. I mean, this is exactly how I talk. I'm like, dude, I'm really fucking sorry. People make jokes because they think I'm gay. I did that. I shouldn't have done that. I did, you know what I mean? So that's my bad. I'm sorry. And he just looked at me and he didn't say anything. And I tried to apologize again, and he didn't say anything. And I'm like, okay, I tried to apologize. That's all I can do. And I just left it there, right? Anyway, right? So, moving on. So many months later, right? At this point, Ricky, you know, how many years has Ricky been considered a top player, right? So it's me and Ricky. So somehow at a big tournament, final showdown, me who's been winning all these tournaments, and Ricky who's winning all these tournaments, has to play very first match because it's a seeded tournament. Do you know? Do you even want to hear some of the most ridiculous? I actually went to a tournament before. I, God, I was winning this tournament before, right? And they fucking before the finals, they reset the brackets, right? And they're like, well, hey, because I didn't lost the match yet, and they reset. And they're like, hey, let's make the tournament go on longer. Let's reset the final eight to do a round robin to make it more exciting. I hadn't lost a match yet. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? No, it's the finals. What the fuck are you guys doing? But I don't run tournaments, so what can I do? You know, guys don't realize the kind of bullshit that happened back in the day in tournaments. But moving on, right? Um, so somehow we had the first round in this tournament, right? Even though we're supposed to both be seated. Well, long story short, short story short, dude. Actually, I destroyed him. It was almost a quadruple perfect, no joke. And they were filming it because it was at they were filming it for a DVD, right? I beat him so bad they took me out of the DVD. That's not a fucking joke, right? I mean, I'm sure if anyone old enough is watching this, maybe they remember the match, right? Almost quadruple perfect, dude. He might have hit me with block damage one of the rounds. But even in the final round, perfect instant kill. He got dizzy and I instant killed him, dude. Bad, bro. And I mean, if anyone wants to know what I was doing fucking Shinakuma, which was a thing in Guilty Gear XX where you had a I don't mean I'm not big on frame data, but you had like a few frames It's probably, I think maybe slash fireball's only a couple of frames, maybe hard fireballs, maybe a few frames. But you could cancel the recovery of your fireball to fireball over and over again. And so I made it a joke called Shinakuma. And so I purposely, again, I don't really play a lot of casuals. I didn't play because I just, whatever. I just, I don't want to make this too long. So what I was doing is I purposely, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to troll and see if I can get away with this. I'm going to Shinakuma right in his face, and right where I'm supposed to have recovery, I'm going to do the cancel recovery thing and jump. He fell for it every single 4 rounds in a row, the entire match, dude. I just purposely did like scrubbed him out because people had never seen it before, right? At this time, again, people don't realize how many like techniques I brought to Guilty Gear. And the last round, I instant killed him, dude. Almost a quadruple perfect, and I tried to give him a hand. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. And he was like, ah! And he just like moved away, and everyone was like, oh my god. And they were filming it for the DVD, bro, and it was so bad. Now, I'm sure if I had won the tournament, they would have kept it in, but they filmed it. It was so bad, they took me out of the fucking DVD because you wouldn't. Again, I'm not a popular player, right? So they weren't going to keep that in. I guess a more popular player, but anyway, that whole tournament really fucking sucked because, God, man, I was so fucking sick. That's when I first got I started wearing this hat, if people ever see those pictures, because I was losing so much hair from that radiation, and I was just so fucking sick, and people were such dicks to me, dude. Such a terrible, like I said, I don't actually have a lot of good memories about tournaments, but people were so fucking, just such a fucking dick to me. And I remember even the Japanese came to my room to play me one of the days, and I didn't play them because people were such dicks. I didn't even want to be around the game. You know, man, I was just so fucking sick of fucking video games and people talking shit. You know what I mean? I was just so sick of fucking video games. And like I said, I don't have a lot of good memories about video games, actually. Almost all of them are fucking bad. But yeah, that was just fucking terrible. So that was a story. I don't know. Some I don't know. Maybe I could hit some hate for that because people sort of, I don't know. I just thought that was maybe a kind of funny story. I could end it on. There's a video game story for you, but God, yeah, I don't have a lot of good memories from video games. That's why I don't even like talking about it really, because almost all my memories, even all those tournaments I won, man, I just don't have a lot of good memories about it because it just was not cool. You know what I mean? I was just so fucking sick and it was just terrible. Like I said, I got a bad rap for so many things that didn't even fucking happen. You know what I mean? But God, there's so many stories I could tell. But there's a few stories because people want to hear video game stories from back in the day sometime. Like I said, these are all very old. A lot of these stories would never fucking happen nowadays, I'm sure. You would never, you know what I mean? Like some of the rigged bracket stuff that happened, dude. You know what I mean? So ridiculous, but that was video games back in the day. Games were not always fucking fair, man. But you know, okay. There's a few video game stories for you. Maybe I'll do some more another day.